Hello and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Friday, August 19th edition of our video devotionals, and we appreciate you being with us today. I hope your Friday's going well, and I hope your week has gone well. Here we are at the end of another work week, and for some that have already started school, it's the end of the school week, and they'll begin back Monday as normal, and some will begin school this coming week. And so it's that time of year. We pray that all the children will be safe in school and learn the things that they need to learn and have a good school year. Well, we're going to jump right into it today. Of course, there's a lot of historical context we're trying to give you that will tie into yesterday's devotion that we gave you. We're in Jeremiah 49 today, and we're going to read, I may read the 6 verses that I have planned. We may skip it a little bit, but we're going to talk today about another group of people that are the result of one decision that happened a long, long time ago from their perspective, and we're going to talk about that today. So before we do that, again, thank you for watching our videos. Let me mention this. I didn't say this. This is Faithful Friday, and as we think about today, and you think about what we're going to talk about today, certainly God's faithfulness to us in so many ways becomes very, very apparent. And let's thank Him today for His faithfulness on this Friday. So again, thank you for all who watch the videos. We appreciate you and pray that we can continue to do that. All right. So Jeremiah 49, we're going to start in verse 1. And I think we will maybe just read the first 2 verses here. It says, concerning the Ammonites. Now remember that group of people. Concerning the Ammonites, thus saith the Lord, hath Israel no sons? Hath he no heir? Why then doth their king inherit Gad, and his people dwell in his cities? Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in Rabbah of the Ammonites, and it shall be a desolate heap, and her daughters shall be burned with fire. Then shall Israel be heir unto them that were his heirs, saith the Lord. Now, we're going to go back to this group of people called the Ammonites. If you were with us yesterday, we go back to Genesis 19, and we refer to a group of people that came from one decision, from one lady, and that was Lot's daughter. And so he had 2 daughters. You know, when the destruction came in Sodom and Gomorrah, 4 people left. One was turned to a pillar of salt. That was Lot's wife. The other 3 continued, and they were not destroyed in the great, great overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah. So sadly, though, here's 2 people, 2 daughters of Lot, who decide to do something very, very horrendous. And they decide to have a relationship with their dad. Both of them decided this. One night, the other night. And from that, 2 boys were born. One was Moab, and he became the father of who we call the Moabites, or the area called Moab. Yesterday, we talked about how God destroyed them. And then today, we're talking about the other daughter's son by Lot, and his name was Ben-Ammi, who became the father of the, as we read here, the Ammonites. Isn't that something? Back to back in Jeremiah. Now you say, well, how much time transpired between those boys being born and becoming adults and this time right here? As I looked it up, it's about 1,350 years approximately. Isn't that something that from that point going forward in time, that these group of people remained intact, and these were people that decided that they were going to almost create a heritage of wrongdoing, a heritage that would not be of following God and doing the right things. And God, in this case, says, I'm going to destroy the Ammonites, which came from a bad decision from a daughter of a man by the name of Lot. Now, when you think about and put all this together, from the birth of those boys until this time period, 1,350 years, imagine the wrong decision making that went on year after year, decade after decade, century after century, until we arrive at this point here. Now, as I said yesterday, number one, it was not automatic that Moab and Ben-Ammi were going to be what we would call bad or wrong people. They had a choice like anybody else did. But let me also say this, they also had wrong influences in their life. And that's a tough one. When children grow up in an environment where there's the wrong influences, then you can guarantee that's going to have an effect, and it does have an effect. So when I think about the influences of their mama, those 2 daughters of Lot, think about the influences that they picked up in Sodom there. Think about all that bad influence and all that made them be who they were, to make the decisions that they made with their father. Sadly, that's what they did, and I think a lot of that had to do, of course, with the influences. Think about the lack of influence that their father Lot had, and the lack of influence he had back in Sodom. In fact, his own two sons-in-laws, the husbands of these two daughters, said, we're going to stay in Sodom, and they were destroyed. So I'm saying influence, influence, influence. And yet at the same time, when those boys were born and they grew up and they were raised, I don't know what kind of interaction that Lot, their dad, sadly, had with those boys. But as we look at it, Moab remained intact as a people. The Ammonites did. And God says, I'm going to destroy these two groups of people. And these are people that were not followers of God. And how sadly, how influence after influence after influence can continue. But you know what? That can be broken. That's where I want to close this up here at the 6-minute mark. You can overcome the obstacles. You can overcome, I don't like to use the word the odds, but you know what? There are people who grow up in bad situations, and they've come out of that, and God has brought the right influences into their life, despite the very strong ones that come from family or where a person would live in a situation. So all that to say, on this Friday, let's thank God for his faithfulness to bring the right influences in our life. Look, if you were raised in a godly home, then thank God for that. There's a reason why that some of you can look back and see great-grandparents, grandparents, your parents, yourself, your children are living right. Why? Because you've decided to let the right influences have the right influences in your own life. And that's a precious gift. And I think that's a gift of God. And I know we make our own decisions, but thank God for the right influences that God has placed in our life, and then we make those decisions. Sadly, for the people of Moab and the Ammonites, sadly, they paid a heavy price because of the continual wrong decision makings that people decided to stick with the wrong and not pursue the right. So let's be thankful for the right influences in our life, and let's be the right influence for others today. Okay. All right. So we're going to see you on Monday, Lord willing, and we'll go into the book of Lamentations for Monday and Tuesday. Otherwise, be safe, and hopefully you're going to be healthy. And we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, and Sunday, have a great day.